Stare into my eyes. Tell me your secrets. Let's talk about Ironjawz units. Thanks to all the patrons. You guys are the real heroes. I'm trying to get to 50 patrons. Buy some dice from Paradise. Alright. Talking Auric War Clans. Oh my god, I didn't get a... Hold on, I have to get something to drink. I sat through that whole stream looking at... Or that whole last video looking at so many different empty water bottles. It's hot. Is it hot where you are? I'm sure it's hot where you are. You should visit the north at least once in your life. Ironjawz. So this is not a tier list. I don't know what 89 means. I'm Canadian. Sorry. You have to think about the yeah, I hope not Celsius. When we look at Ironjawz units, we have to think about them in context of their battle traits and in all the enhancements. So when we think about them, remember, we can kind of move them twice around, right? So that's meaningful. And then the wall, which is overall pretty low impact. So it matters for heroes because they gotta kind of be in the thick of it or whatever, right? So whatever. And also Ironjawz Brawl, right? So right now, kind of the one that everyone is thinking and liking is Weird Fist. Just giving a 6-up aura to those perks of infantry is good because they have 3-up saves, right? So, yeah, it's almost a full move for orcs. That's right. That's right. It's almost doubling their movement speed. But the 6-up aura, I think, right now is kind of the one that everyone's taking. I think Natural Disaster can be okay if you want to just run like a big monster list, you know? So that's probably the two sort of ones that I think are top of the list. An Eye for the Fight, I think, is easily the best heroic trait, just because Ragers. So being able to run in charge means you can also redeploy and counter charge, and so guaranteeing a minimum of a 4 redeploy for a Rager seems really good. And you give it to a hero that's going to be kind of in the middle of an Ardboy castle, so probably a Weirdnob shaman, because they just want to be kind of at the front line with all those boys standing around. Basically just buffing the Ardboy unit. Teleporting the Ragers somewhere if they need to be moved somewhere, which is a really good turn 1 move, right? Just make sure that the Ragers are lined up with where they want to be. But yeah, those are definitely good. If you're not into that, if you don't want to play that way, Mega Bossy's not great. Adding 1 to charge rolls. Like if you want it to be like a big pig list with a bunch of big pigs, I think Mega Bossy is what you take. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Cool. And then Trophy Skulls is really strong. I think 10 to control score is a lot of control score. So Tuskboss, maw-krusha. You can even do it to like Weirdnobs or war chanters or whatever infantry hero you have. And if you're fighting over the middle, right, if you can tow them on the objective, they're gonna meet. It means that you're gonna like control it for an extra turn while they have to actually kill the Weirdnob. So even if you're being kind of overrun, or you can sort of still control it. All you have to do is get there. Thing with Ardboys too, they can be a good turn 1 teleport, just like on the other side of the objective, and be like, "Come at me, bro." So, pretty good. Yep. Armor of Gore. Probably don't take this one. Probably always take the Trophy Skull. I think control score matters a lot. So I think even like in a big pig list, I think it's the same. You just want to be like, I'm going to charge you, and then I'm going to control your objective. Control matters. Basham Lad's good spell. Mighty Edbutt, it's fine. Situational. Great big green-handed Gork, good spell. So if you're an Ironjawz player, you want to be like, at like 3 spells, 4 spells. Being able to try to teleport something every turn, or cast your second endless spell, and then casting Basham Lads and an endless spell is good. So, but no +1 in our book. I guess we'll talk about it when we get to the Weirdnob. But some decent spells, right? Decent spells. 3 mortal damage to a wizard. That's within 18 is nothing to sneeze at, right? Like mortal damage is mortal damage. So it could be Usharon. Usharon is a wizard. 3 extra mortal damage, right? So, and then still, cast another spell. Not the worst thing I've ever seen. And then the prayers are awesome. right? Get a beat is okay, but you play for the 8 up. That's what you play for. You chant in your opponent's turn, right, to build up points, and then unleash them in your turn to try to get the 3d6 charge. That's kind of what you want to do here. But you can do that. It just costs a command point. But these are all, like, these are fine. Fix and beat is fine. Healing d6. I think you heal d6. I don't think that you d3 plus 3. I think it's better to do 2d6 than 2d3 plus 6 for the cost of your PPs. And Kill a Beat's the best one, which is the one you want to do probably every time. It's why suddenly the Ard boys can actually slap. Like, brutes deal more damage, right? Brutes deal more damage. But when the Ard boys go up to 2 damage, and if you give a brick of them all-out attack, like, they can be on 3 saves with this, or 3 ups to save with a 6-up ward, right? And suddenly they're like 2 damage, right? Like, this Kill a Beat is strong. I think War Chanters are probably maybe the best hero in the game for us, maybe. They're definitely up there. Their price is right. +1 damage for 4 points is sweet. Yep, well, it just means that, like, if you... So essentially, if you chant this in your opponent's turn, and in your turn, you can, like, definitely get it. Like, you'll probably definitely get 4 off 2 chants. And you're just hoping for that 8 up. Which will happen, like, 40-something% of the time, right? It'll just happen on 2 rolls. Yeah, this one, though, is a little bit tough because it's only until the end of the turn, right? For the rest of the turn. So if you do it on your opponent's turn, right, which you can do, it only lasts until the end of the turn, right? While Bcalm Lads is this is for the rest of the turn as well, right? Bcalm Lads is also for the rest of the turn. So those are actually kind of, they both hurt quite a bit. Good thing we're tanky though, right? So we can kind of take a hit, but we're not dealing as much damage when our buffs aren't up. So, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, now we're back into cool stuff. Gore-gruntas. I think Gore-gruntas is the mega boss to play, and here's why. I think the mega boss on maw-krusha, the 2d6 pile in, doesn't really matter. Right? It just doesn't really matter. I think that the role of a Mega Boss on maw-krusha is not to kill infantry. I think the role of him might be to kill their big thing instead of kill infantry. Because it's just too tight of a space and he'll just never get out of combat. But if you're like kind of, you know, keeping him around and not really committing him into the melee, if he starts the game off as like a flanker, right? If he starts the game off like kind of in reserve almost, or like running up the flank, and so if he can try to score like take their flanks and to take their whatever on their terrain on their side, right? Because don't forget, oh no, he can't take a thing and be 15 control, but he's still 5 control. So if he can walk onto a thing and just punch some little dudes that are holding the flank, right? And if it's something big, like if it's a big pig, for example, like an Ironjawz big pig on the flank instead, well, it's like, well, it's a monster, right? So I'm gonna, like, you know, smash it and use this monster grapple or whatever and really just sort of own it. So the better their cavalry are or whatever, the worse it is for them, because Gore-gruntas just gonna be right there on the flank, you know? And then when the middle gets cleared out a little bit just from trading, then, oh, their big Usharon is still there, oh, their Alariel is still there, oh, their, you know, whatever it is that's in the center of the battlefield for them, it's like, well, Gore-gruntas gonna run in and punch it now and kill it. And then, you know, Gore-gruntas will die, but like he contributed enough value. He's really expensive. Right now I'm kind of passing on the maw-krushas in general. They lost all their super crazy movement, and so now they just are clunky and slow. Right? That's what happened. The plus 3 move is just, for Mighty Destroyers, just isn't enough. And the base size is so big they can't do like weird, tricky, sneaky moves like brutes can, right? Where they like pile into something weird. I'm still having trouble with strength from victory. It's just like it was before, but it just goes to a maximum of 3. It's just dumb wording. it gets a token to a maximum of 3. It just the thing that's broken about it is when it says right here until the end of the next turn. That's the problem. You just delete this sentence. It's like, if any damage points were allocated to any friendly unit by this unit's attacks this turn and that enemy unit has been destroyed. So if it helped kill a unit in any way, give this unit a WA token to a maximum of 3. Okay. Add 1 to the attack characteristic of this unit's weapons for each WA token it has. This until the end of your next turn is just telling you to check this at the end of any turn. Right? So at the end of any turn, you check to see if it happened, and then he gets these until the beginning of the next turn. Yeah. It doesn't turn off. Never, if you read this, and this is, if somebody was, like, if you were having a conversation with somebody or whatever, and they were questioning you on this, I would just say, like, never anywhere in this information does it say anything about removing or losing or minusing. Like, there's not even any words that are those type of words at all, right? Add, right? It's just like checking, like momentum does exactly. But strength from victory is just telling you at the end of the turn, right? You're gonna give it tokens, and then until the next time we check, which is the end of the next turn, this is end of any turn. So it's telling you until we check this again, you're gonna get plus this many attacks. So you can't like get them in the combat phase, is what it's preventing from happening. You can't like give it more tokens and then it gets more attacks in the charge phase. It only happens at the end of the turn or whatever. Oh, look at that. Phenomenal. But overall, I'm kind of passing on these guys. I used to think this one was better, and it might be, but it's the same kind of problem. This thing doesn't want to go into the infantry, right? Like, it doesn't want to commit into the center because it's just going to get attacked. It's just going to get piled in on, and everything is going to attack it. And a 3-up save on 18 wounds is not as much as you think it is, right? Like, Ardboys are a 3-up save, and 10 of them have 20 wounds. Right? So it's not like this thing is not tankier than Ardboys, and Ardboys are going to get that 6-up ward and have 2 extra wounds. And they cost significantly less than 420. Right? So it's like, what's this thing actually doing? At least Gore-gruntas has like a clear thing. It's like, I'm going to get you. And if you're not careful, and it's like when you commit your stuff in the middle and everything is fighting, this thing is going to get teleported somewhere and then come looking for your big guy that's trying to hide in the back. Like, this thing beats this thing that I was saying. That lady with the 5-up ward. This thing just crushes her. I can even probably pull up the math. Let's see. Ironjawz, stats, Gore-gruntas. So it's a 3-up save, so it's a monster hero. So without any help, 13 damage, so not enough. Because it's got a 5-up ward and it's gonna mess with the attacks, but yeah, this thing's gonna be annoying. Well, but the thing is that like a Hacken, Hacken crew, like a Gore-gruntas Gouger with a Hacken crew, is gonna deal like probably way better damage for the points, right? A Hacken crew with 3 momentum, which it has an easy time to do. In fact, Gore-gruntas I guess doesn't have this, so let me see this. What was it? 17.41 divided by 450. Is that what it was? Yeah, 3.9. This is damage per point. This is like an efficiency score against a 4-up ward. So even with everything, so all these other numbers are going down from here. Right? So it's like he's not very efficient. But this Hacken crew has 4.6 damage per 100 points. Right? So it's like, well, you know, the most efficient one is this. This is the Gouger with 3, but it's hard to get it to 3 momentum. But it's the most efficient. It also has the worst save. So I kind of think that the Hacking Crew is the best one per point, right? It has one better save, and it has a built-in mechanic that builds its own momentum. So it like the peg gets stuck in combat and then it just sort of ticks down, right? So it sort of hits weaker and weaker, but Hacking Crew hits harder and harder. No, Tuskboss is not worth the cost of the upgrade. And his, we'll get to him. Mega Boss on foot is sick if you're taking a bunch of brutes. I think that Ragers are better. Ragers are better than brutes because they run in charge and they strike first. I think brutes are good in units of 5, but I think if you want to take a bunch of Ragers and a handful of like brutes or whatever, then I think a Mega Boss is totally fine. I think his design is really boring. It's like, hey, are you playing brutes? Then I have the guy for you. This other ability, it should have been different. It should have been like he has an ability for Hard Boys. I don't know. It should have been something. But this is redundant and boring. Like, it's just boring design. And he's not really going to be getting in the fight because he's not a fighting piece. He's a buffer now, right? So he's kind of expensive. His attack's like 4s. You don't want to use all-out attack on this guy, and he only gets +1 during the WA. So he's stuck at 4s. So it's like, and then 1 rend, like he just doesn't. He doesn't have the volume of dice. He doesn't have anything. He's overcosted because he's like costed like he's going to go fight, but he's not. So that could be his curse. He's not fighting enough. He doesn't fight on death. He doesn't have Destroyer. Like, the Mega Boss in 3rd was a fighter. Like, a real, like, watch out for this guy. And it's really too bad that he's not anymore. It's like if I put him on the table, it's like, wow, that's a big base for a wizard. Because that's essentially what he's doing is he's playing a support role. So, he doesn't even bring brutes into the fight with him. Like, this guy's a miss. I don't know. If you're bringing a lot of brutes, I guess, he's good. War Chanter's awesome. Still haven't actually got him into the fight, so this ability probably won't be good. But priests are good, and prayer lores are good. We have a good prayer lore, and priests are good. So he's a priest with a good prayer lore, which makes him a good priest. And he's costed properly. He's nice and cheap, so you can bring him. He's definitely worth the drop. Oh, sorry. Oh, jeez. I'm so sorry. Still on Excel. What an amateur. What an amateur. But yeah, the War Chanter, definitely worth it for sure. Thanks for the tip, though. Well, it's not even that he should be 3s and 3s. Fine. Like, whatever. Like, because all the orcs are on 4s. Okay, fine. I accept that. 4s and 2s, good. 1 rend, fine. 8 attacks, good. I don't know. Just let him be 2 rend. Let him let him fight with a unit. So then it's like he's a fighty hero, and he gets to actually add his damage. Well, like, what weapon effect would you give him? Like, that's kind of my question. Like, if I bring up... Anyway, whatever. Let's not get bogged down on this. But I think he just needed a different one that wasn't just, oh, more... Like, why just give him +1 to hit? Oh my god. Just if he... Hero +1 rend, that's totally great. Hero +1 rend would be fantastic. Right? He's gonna find their biggest guy, and when he goes in... Or even, you know what? Like, it would even be cool to be like... I guess that it's not one, but it's like... If it's a hero that he's fighting, then double his attacks. Right? He gets 2 times the attacks because he's a Mega Boss. And it's like the rule's called, like, I'm the biggest. Right? So he's going to find the other big thing and just smash it to pieces. Something like that. Like, make him actually fighty. Yep. Well, exactly. Right? Something. So, but yeah, War Chanter's good. Weirdnob Shaman is really good. I like that he's 2 casts for 1 drop. But I think you're kind of committed to a reinforced unit of Ard Boys. But I think a reinforced unit of Ard Boys is actually really good. So, it's like, it's working out perfectly. It's like he's going to be behind the big, huge screen. Like, excellent. And then he gets +1 casts. Perfect. Right? Awesome. I could see somebody running 2 of them and just sticking them right behind and being like, we're going to cast all the primal energy whatevers. we're going to cast a bunch of manifestations. Right? We're going to throw our big mega boss into the center, and we're going to throw a heal behind him, and then Jaws at you. And then teleport and countercast and all kinds of fun things. So yeah, good spell lore. An extra cast, 2 casts for 1 drop. Gotta love it. Not as good as Cruel Boys, but that's okay. For destruction in particular, very good. If he gets tapped, he dies, right? He's slow like everybody else, but he's fantastic. He should be 5 move though. He shouldn't be bogged down with this heavy. He's not wearing heavy armor. He should just be 1 more move. But maybe just for consistency across the army, that's nice. Brutes are the best and the worst Ironjawz unit. They're the best unit because they just slay infantry, which is good. They zone out objectives incredibly well, which is good. But they're so expensive, which is bad. Running like a reinforced brick of them is tough. It's running 10 brutes for 400 points. It's just too much. And I understand why they're expensive, and I'm not even making the case for why they should be cheaper. But right now, what I'm thinking it's like 2 times 5 brutes. I'm not going to switch back to my other screen, because then I'll forget again. But if I was going to run like a brutes in a list, get rid of this. Keep this, keep all of, nope, get rid of this. And then it's going to be like, oh shoot, don't spill my drink. So don't if there's an error in here, you'll have to forgive me. Actually, this list is sick. Oh wait, hold on. They're 200 points each. What am I doing? So what's broken in this list? War Chanter, Ardboys, right, because I took out a big block at these guys. And I took out Rekkaz. So I took out 490, 500. And then there's nothing for 100 points that goes in this list. What's the cheapest thing? More brutes. 100 more points for more brutes. What's the cheapest thing? Well, it would be Ragers, I guess, for 140. No, but not for I had 20 of them in for 360. 140. Yeah, what an odd predicament I'm in. Do I upgrade like something like this? Yeah, that's probably fine. Yeah, this list is actually really good, I think. I'd have to look at it more. But it's like a Weirdnob shaman is going to be like your centerpiece, right? With Eye for to fight for the redeploy and Trophy Skull. Immediately in front of him is going to be 20 Ardboys just clogging up the center. Standing beside him is going to be like a War Chanter and Zogrock. Who are going to be sort of positioned sort of to the left and to the right, depending on what's going on. But they're going to be like kind of in the middle, like moving around. And then sort of on the left flank of center is a unit of 5 brutes, and on the right flank of center is a unit of 5 brutes, and they're the ones that actually want to go stand on the objectives, right? So if there's objectives in the center, it's like the brutes are going to go in to like zone out your opponent, right? And then sort of behind all this, lurking, waiting for a chance to redeploy and countercharge or to run and charge up the flank, there's 6 Ragers, and then you also have the Gouger and the Hack and Crew on the 2 flanks. This list is sick. Yep, this is a sick list. I'm going to make a video about it. But, oh, I spoiled it. So if you're watching this video, you don't have to watch the list, the Ironjawz list I'm playing right now video. So, look at me spoiling my own content. What an entertainer. But brutes are like really good, but they don't fit the role that I think people thought. Their best ability is this messin ability. That's easily their best ability, and they do that well in a group of 5. And if there's 2 groups of 5, they can be in 2 different places, and even in a group of 5, there's still 15 wounds on a 3-up save. And they can still slap, you know, like without any buffs whatsoever, they can still slap. Like, let's see, where's we don't have to. I guess we can look at my math. Ironjawz stats, brutes, right? 5 of them have a 4.1 damage per 100 points, just all by themselves. Versus infantry, we're approaching that 5. You don't need to take them through the roof with like all these millions of buffs for them to be good. You can just pile them in 3 extra inches. They can fight. They can do their job, which is control the objectives for the turn, right? It's just control the objectives for that turn, and they're going to be efficient, right? They're going to be kind of hard to kill and efficient. They're slow to go down. Absolutely. So brutes are good. If they were cheaper, we could play them in bigger bricks and throw them at the center. But they're not. They're very expensive. I think that if they got to a point where they were cheap enough, like if they were 180, like Ardboys are 180. So like they have to be 200, right? Ardboys could go down too, but I don't know. If they both went down 20, I don't even know. 40 mils does make it harder to get everybody into combat. It's true. So that is another advantage to having them in 5s. They'll probably all be fighting, right? You also get 1 more champion, but more importantly, you have you messing in 2 different places. If 1 brute is alive, it still will just, because it's the last brute. It's the brute that's in the best position on the table is always the last one alive, right? It's the one that's actually standing on the objective and contesting it, right? So even when the last one is alive, you're still getting this incredibly powerful effect. So you just march a brute onto the objective, stand there. You're like, I have this objective. If you're not a monster, you know, you have trouble. And then you have ragers, who are in the background to really do the punching. And then Ardboys in the middle, soaking it all up, but not getting surrounded because they have brutes to their left and their right. It's an excellent formation. Well, exactly. Right? Like if we wanted to like do some just a quick damage calculation. Let me just pull this up here. I'm just gonna take, I don't need brutes, what I want is ragers. I was meaning to do this earlier, so it's 6 times 3. 6 models, 3 attacks each. 4, 2, 1, 2. 4, 2, 1, 2. And they have no special abilities besides that. Besides their run and charge and first strike. Right. So, 6 of them. That's 10 damage. So I'm just going to copy this over here. No champion, nothing like that. Probably close that, actually. Let's see. Where's my thing? Did I close it? Yeah, because I haven't actually done the Ragers yet. And then I'm interested in 2 buffs. 1 buff I'm interested in is if it's a monster. Right? They get +1 rend if it's a monster. So that's going up. Right? Versus monster. Because I have a feeling, like, because I have never actually looked, but I have a feeling that these things are actually going to just slap. And then what happens if they get Zogrocked? If they get Zogrocked, so the Ren goes back down, but they also get mortal wounds to hit on a 6. It's 2 mortal wounds, right? Because that's what the damage is. And then, last but not least, I want to see what it is if the damage goes up by 1. Because that's the War Chanter buff. Although the War Chanter probably won't be using the buff here. Oh yeah, for sure. Every time. Every single time. I'll tell you why here in a sec too. Right, so this is Zogrock with +1 damage. But, I mean, I just wanted to see how high it would go. I don't even really care. But, see how it's, yeah. So, this is 280. Right? So, it's 10 divided by 280. So, 3.6. So, not the most efficient thing that we have. Right? 3.6 is definitely less than 4.1. It's approaching, right? This is half away, so it's kind of like weaker. But the trade-off is that this is 5. This is a these are it deals mortals. It's not 10 damage worth of mortals, but it does mortal wounds. Sorry, that's wrong. That's wrong. It's because you get strike first. Better versus 3-ups. Yeah. Better versus better army. But that's the thing. The strike first matters a lot. So. Yeah. And they're also anti-monster tech. Like when they're fighting monsters, it's like, what is it, 12.5 divided by, what did we say it was? 280. Right? Now we're 4.5. So now we're in that range of efficiency. But even if they're not, like they have run and charge and strike first. Like even if they're less efficient, the fact that they can strike first like kind of makes them more efficient. So great unit. So yeah, I mean, that's enough about brutes. I think Ardboys are good. I think they're maybe a little bit expensive. I think Shield Bash is kind of worse because you only kind of get to do it once. You know, things are going to charge into you and you're going to get to deal some mortal wounds. It's a 6-up Horde Buster, so it's also nice because they're probably going to be going head-to-head against your opponent's Horde. No, it's in this unit, so we are reinforcing this unit. So it is 20 dice, looking for 6s. And it is mortal wounds, which is nice. We have a hard time with finding mortal wounds in Ironjawz. So I was going to tell you why I take mortal wounds, because you can't, if your opponent has good armor, the mortal wounds like will go through. Like it's more consistent damage. So this is 6 Ragers, right? 3s, 4s, 2 to wound, 1 rend, 3 damage. So this is just their regular 2 damage. So here, let's turn the mortal wounds off, right? So we're back to our baseline 10. Turn the mortal wounds on, jumps up to 12.67, right? So 12.67, and then exploding 6s. I mean, it is more damage here on this graph, right? Oops. Let's just make sure that it's what it's supposed to be. Yeah, right, 13.33, and then the mortal wounds is going to be 12.67. So it's like a little bit less, but the thing is that the mortal damage is going to end up being more damage if your opponent has better saves, right? Exploding 6s are better against worse saves, and the more rend that you have, the better that exploding 6s are, and the worse your rend is, the better that mortal wounds are, right? Because you're skipping that phase. Right, so like Gut-Rippers, for example, have 0 rend, and so without like they need the mortal wounds, right? Like the mortal wounds are so important for them. But I think just like ultimately, because like it's 12.67, 9.3, right, is the one at the top range, and here it's 6.67. That's the difference, right? When your opponent has better saves, and at the high end, right, exploding is 20, and mortal wounds is 16. So it's kind of... Yep, so I take the mortal wounds every time. For sure. Yeah. Going through that armor. Cool. Where were we? So yeah, I mean, 3-up save 2 wounds. Like, they kind of do what it says on the box. Well, kind of. It's not as swingy, but just like, it's more consistent, you know. So I guess not being swiggy is kind of the same thing. I like these guys. Prickly, Porcupine unit. You know, give them a 6-up ward. I like them. I like to play a reinforced unit of them with a Weirdnob. I think it's a lot of value. Getting a 6-up ward, getting an extra cast, like they help each other out quite a bit. It's very synergistic. So I like it. I'm a fan. I like our boys. I don't like Gore-gruntas. Right? If it charged, 2-up D3, but +1 damage if it's cavalry. So they're very clearly anti-cavalry. So if they are going to play a role, it's going to be sitting around guarding the foot heroes until some cavalry gets through the flank. They'll be like a counter you. So it's like I throw out my sort of directions, and then wherever I'm losing, the Gore-gruntas go. But they're not. That's not worth 190 points. Right? It's just not worth 190 points to have that, because they have to play passively. They can't just run up the flanks. You know? They have to kind of like go behind a big pig and like counter punch their cavalry. If like cavalry become the meta, this thing gets better. You know? But they're on a 3-up save with 5 health, which is nice. They're kind of slow. But they're too expensive. They're too expensive. They gotta come down in points. They have to be competing like... Yeah, they have to come way down in points. They gotta be like 160, 150 before I'll start thinking about them. 150 I'd probably take some for 150. Like 2 of them for 300 compared to 270 for a hacking crew. I'm still taking a hacking crew first. Right? I could see like taking a hacking crew and then being like, oh, I have extra points in this list, so I'm gonna take 2 Gore-gruntas instead of a Gouger, which at 220. Right? So it's like, well, there's 80 points in this list left over. Oh well, just kind of quote unquote upgrade, you know, into like just a bunch of wounds in Gore-gruntas. So too expensive. Zogrock Amble Smasher is, I thought at first not good, but I've kind of come around and changed my mind. As we were talking about before with your spells and with your prayers, both of them are only until the end of that turn, while this effect is until the beginning of your next turn. Until the start of your next turn, which means that this not only works on your turn, but also on your opponent's turn. So it's like a lot more value. Also, you get the roll. It's on a 3-up. Right? Because if you play, it's a 4-up here in the text, but if you take the tongs, it's a +1, right? So it's a 3-up, and you get to re-roll it with clock. So re-rolling a d6 to try to get a 3-up twice is pretty good odds. I'd say much better odds than your not your prayer. Your prayer is going to be sick. Like your prayer is going to be pretty reliable because you can get like counter chant and like build up the points and all this. So you can like save it for when you want it and then use it exactly when you need it, which is its strength, right? But this one is going to be more consistently like always up. And whether you're going to throw it on something that's reinforced, probably Unit of Ardboys, to be honest, because brutes are too expensive. You could also throw this on Ragers, right? The turn that they go in, so that they can have all these extra mortal wounds or whatever, just to really kill the thing. Like if it's a monster that you're throwing this thing into, like whatever, you can throw this on them is for sure. It's not a spell, so you can't like interact with it. It's just a 3-up. You get to re-roll it, you know, at least the first couple times, and yeah, like I said, it'll last till the beginning of the next turn. It also works incredibly synergistically with your War Chanter, right? Because this is adding extra mortal wounds. Right? Because if it's 2 damage, then you're dealing 2 mortals, so that it sort of multiplies, which is fantastic, right? Like I said, throw this on a reinforced unit of Ardboys. All of a sudden, they're dealing, you know, 2 damage each, mortal wounds on 6s. You know, you're throwing, like, what is it? With 20 of them, you're throwing 41 dice. So, right? It's very simple math. It's just 41 times 0.167, right? 7 mortal wounds. It's a lot of mortal wounds just to be thrown on. So I'm kind of liking this guy. I'd still model him with the chopper. I did. Of course you model him with the chopper, but you take the tongs every time, no question. Every time, no question. So I think I like him. I think, again, the consistency and the fact that it lasts until the beginning of your next turn, and it's like the only buff that does that. This is the only damage buff you can give to Ardboys that'll just be up on both. Like, it'll be up all the time. And it's mortals, so you're gonna throw a lot, you know, like if you're also going into an anvil unit, like another high armor save, you know, like this really helps against them, which is why Ardboys like the 6-up ward, right? Because these, we're getting rid of some of these with that, right? So I'm kind of coming around on him. You can also give him like the enchantment or the artifact that lets him redeploy people, right? If you roll a 1. If you can reroll, right. If you make an unmodified save roll of 1. Oh, save roll! Oh! Oh, then it's even better. An unmodified save roll. I thought it was an unmodified forging roll. Oh, so that makes him even better, because it's like, just keep this guy out of combat, right? Just keep him out of combat. Big Boss is a total whiff. This is an extra model and a half, but you have to spend a command point. Not a fan. Adding one to Shield Bash rolls adds a little bit of mortal wounds, but I don't like Shield Bash. It only gets to happen once. If Shield Bash got to happen all the time, it would be great, but it's like, you're gonna get charged by some other big unit and get to Shield Bash them one time. Okay. The game feels different now. It's sluggier. So if you're playing a big brick and throwing it in the middle, your opponent's gonna be playing a big brick and throwing it in the middle. You're gonna Shield Bash one time, the end. So it's like buffing a weak ability. This is buffing a weak ability. He's a weak buffer. Even though I can take him in a regiment, like for free, don't want him. He's 130 points. I'd rather have Rekkaz. Legit though, I'd actually rather have Rekkaz. I wrote a list for my wife and I had her 130 points and I put Rekkaz in. And I thought, you know what? This unit's just gonna sit in the back line and just guard the heroes at like their flanks. And it worked out really well because I teleported Cruel Boys behind her and then she just threw Rekkaz into them and they took an extra turn out of them. Like those Monster Killers had to spend 2 turns of combat fighting the Rekkaz. And that was enough just to slow him down. Perfect. Right? This guy does less value than that. Rekkaz. Rekkaz aren't good. This 1 damage is the thing that holds them back. If you're going to play Rekkaz, you obviously reinforce them. And then, you know what? These guys actually... Hold on a second. Just hold on a second. These guys actually are going to take Zogrock really well. Because it's a lot of dice. It's 36 dice with a reinforced unit. Right? 36 dice. And that's a lot. So Zogrock, anti-infantry. Maybe I'm all wrong about this guy. I'm gonna do my damage calculations on my other monitor so I can keep this up. Maybe I'm all wrong about this guy. So it's 6 models, because we're gonna reinforce. 6 attacks, 4, 3, 1, 1. Let's say that they're 2 Ren, because they're going into infantry. So, I guess I didn't do the... thing for Rekkaz either. Okay, so the damage is actually kind of comparable to the Ragers, but they don't have strike first. That's the huge difference, right? It's a huge difference. Well, so we'll have to sort of evaluate them a little bit here. So this is going to be a little bit. Oops, where's my points? So Rekkaz are cheaper. So, and this is against infantry. So actually I need to change this. This can only be 1 red, right? This goes here. There's going to be a lot more infantry running around too, by the way. And the infantry are going to be everywhere. The Ragers are going to have a harder time getting this buff than the Rekkaz are going to be this buff. Right, but without that rend, the Ragers actually deal more. So if they're not hitting their priority target, right, the Ragers hit more and they do first strike. But if they do mortals on 6s, Zogrock 1G, 2Ks. No, 2Gs, 1K. Okay, so then if we're actually looking at it, so yeah, the Ragers still deal more damage, even with Zogrock. Right? They still deal more damage. But the gap closes. Right? The gap kind of closes. And I think, to be honest, with Zogrock, yeah, because it's only one. We're way more, sorry, with Rekkaz, we're way more Zog +1 damage. We're way more likely to get this, Oh, wait, hold on. No, it's Zog versus infantry. This is what we're likely to be versus infantry. Because we're likely to fight infantry, I think, if we play Rekkaz. Yeah, cheaper. I'm not thinking about it being like Ragers or Rekkaz. I think you take Ragers every single time, no doubt, no question. But what I'm thinking is maybe Ragers and Rekkaz instead. Because you don't really want to... So it's like, even against infantry, Ragers deal the same. With Zogrock buff. I think maybe we start winning when we throw in... No, probably not. Yeah, maybe we do. I think Rekkaz probably are better if they have all the buffs, including Kill a Beat. But they have a 5-up ward, but the thing is... So here's the thing with their... So let's say that you have 6 of them. So 6 of them have... They have 3 wounds apiece. So this many wounds. And then... we multiply by their save. So how many points of failure does a 5-up save has? 5-up save have? 1, 2, 3, 4 points of failure. So we divide that by, or we divide 6 by how many points of failure we have. And then, okay, so this is 27 wounds. So you have to deal 27, you have to make Ragers and Rekkaz make 27 either mortal wounds or failed save rolls. Sorry. Or make them make saves up to 27. Sunray will explain it all. And then Rekkaz also get they have a 5-up ward, so it's the same. So it's like you have to deal like 13 more sort of damage to them before they die. Right? It's either 40, 41, or 27 damage that you have to deal to them. That's what the 5-up ward gives them. So they kind of hang around a lot longer. They're stickier. Right? It's also probably, if that's how you were going to play them, probably the target that gets all-out defense. So the Ragers are going to like go in, strike first, deal all their damage, but the Rekkaz can kind of hang around longer. So 40.5, and then we think about a unit of Ardboys, which is 2 wounds each, so they're 20 wounds, but they have a way better save. So they only have 2 points of failure. So Ardboys just are better. You have to deal more damage to Ardboys than a reinforced unit of Rekkaz. So I think a reinforced unit of Rekkaz is 260, Ardboys are 180. So it's just better to take Ardboys probably every time. If you want our unit that's just going to be tanky, Ardboys do it better than Rekkaz. So, I don't think you take them. I think you skip them probably every time. Unless maybe if you're like, I want to be like, a Megabot or like a Brute list, and I want to run like a reinforced Rekkaz to stand in the center. And then if somebody contests, I buff it with stuff, potentially. Maybe then. Yeah, but they're not even that good at doing that. Ragers are better. Because if you're thinking about, like, which one acts better independently, it's going to be Ragers every single time. They deal more damage, first of all, and then they get first strike. Or strike first. So it's like whatever functions by itself, yeah. Ragers every time. Worth the 10 points. Tuskboss, I think, is a pass. Here's my fundamental problem with it. It's a little bit healthier, and it does a few more points of damage than the Hack and Crew. Costs 50 more, I think, than the Hack and Crew. Right, Tuskboss is 320? No, 300, so only 30 more than the Hack and Crew. But here's the problem. Its Rampage sucks. Its Rampage sucks. If this unit charged this phase, pick up to 3 friendly maw-krusha units wholly within 12 inches of this unit, and add 1 momentum point to each target. So you're giving 3 maw-krusas plus 1 momentum. Well, who cares? First of all, they have to be within 12. You're going to have 3 of these things within 12? What? That's stupid. That's not a good play. If this was 18, maybe we could talk. But 3? Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't like its Rampage. It's only 1 momentum. It should have been 3 momentum. It should have just been like, you guys are at maximum momentum. Right? Just from, or do you know what it should have been? It should have been, if this unit is picked to call the Wah, add 3 momentum to all maw-krusha gougers. Not even the Hack and Crew, just the gougers that are wholly within 12. That would have been so much better. And if it was wholly within 18, it would have been really good. Just they all get maximum momentum because they have a hard time getting momentum. But if it was 18, it's like, okay, but it's 12 and it's 1 momentum. So, well, you can't do both, right? When you do the wall, you have to pick a hero, right? So when you pick a hero, you pick him, and so you can't get both. If you pick Gore-gruntas, you get +1 to hit. If you pick Tuskboss, you get the pig one. But that would be kind of the idea. It's like he's the Gore-gruntas of the pigs. So, but it's not. It's a weak Rampage, and so Big Pig is dead. Like, I don't think Big Pig is like a good army. If you want to play Big Pig, I say play 2 different Mega Bosses and play 2 different Gore-gruntas, and then play some units on the ground. Like 2 times 5 brutes, something like that. I used to have that list written. We've talked a lot about Ragers. Run and charge. Strike first if they charge. Great synergy. High damage. Good monster tech. Big fan. Maw-krusha with Hack and Crew. Carve a Path is incredibly good. Right? It's incredibly good. If it's in combat, it can move 10. It can pass through models, but it cannot end in combat. So you can't end in combat. Then pick each enemy unit and then give it 2 up D3. Like each unit that you passed across, each unit, give it 2 up D3, so 2, 3 D3 maybe, right? And then gain 2 momentum, right? Then you gain a bunch of momentum. And then, because this is your movement phase, then you charge. So you're at maximum momentum every time, no matter what. And that's the thing. It's like, this thing is mobile. This thing doesn't require a roll. It just says move. There's no roll to die. It's just, if it's in combat, move at 10 inches. Retreat at 10 inches. Deal a bunch of damage. Gain 2... It does everything you want to do. Moves, deals damage, gains momentum, and it doesn't cost you anything because then you charge and you go up momentum again. Like, the Hack and Crew is the best one by far. I think it's an auto-include in every list. I would say that he is S tier. Easy S tier. Best, like, is he easily the best S tier that I can think of in Ironjawz? Probably. I think he's the top best unit in the book. Yeah, I think you take one every time. The only reason that you don't take 2 is because it says once per turn army. Right? So you can only do this with one of them, and then it loses a lot of its value. So then getting a different Rampage is better. right? But between him and the Gouger, I think the Gouger is, and he's also tanky. A 3-up save, 12 wounds, no battle damage, right? No battle damage. He's just gonna be strong to the end. Same thing with him, and his Rampage is good too, right? Roll the die, right? Add your momentum, so it's like hopefully like 2. So it's like on a 3-up you give Strike Last. Strike Last is a powerful effect. It's great. And he's a flanker, so it's like that's what you want. You want to run up, hit the guy in the flank, give him Strike Last, and then punch him, right? Before he punches you. So you kind of win on the flank. It's exactly his role. Win on the flank. So, yep. Phenomenal. And cheap too, right? I personally, I kind of think that a maw-grunt, that a Gouger and a Hack and Crew are kind of an auto-include in every Ironjawz list. They're just so good at taking the flanks. They're like a big, tanky monster on the flank. They're great. That's it. So, yeah. Lots of winners in Ironjawz. I don't know how... I think the fact that... I think Ironjawz are overpriced. I put them both on the same flank the other day playing against Mega Gargants. Right? I was like, well, I don't want them to both go off and fight. I'm going to send them both at the same Gargant. And try to give it Strike Last and punch it. And then, if it's not dead but close to dead, use the whatever it is to run away with the Hack and Crew and try to finish it off with Strike Last and the other one. But I think that what they want to do is they want to achieve battle tactics for you, right? And they do a really good job of that. They can spread out and they can take their flanks, and they can take their land too. And the Hack and Crew's actually really good at take their land, because even if he's in combat, you can just like retreat him, grab an objective, and grab a piece of terrain that you wanted to get, and there's no roll. And he moves 10, so is your opponent countercharging you? Right now they have to like, you know, make a long bomb countercharge, which they're not going to do, or they have to have something that redeploys and countercharges. And then if they whiff their redeploy, right now they're sort of sunk into, you know, like it's just really good at grabbing objectives and terrain. So this guy can grab you two battle tactics, is what he can do, and that's really strong. He can do 2 battle tactics all by his lonesome. So, yeah, anyway, so, I don't know. I think Ironjawz are overpriced, personally. They have 4-up to hits and no way to get +1 to hit across the whole board, so that kind of, like, negates some, like, there's no way to make them better. So brutes are costed at 200, but they're always 4s to hit, you know? So, how good, you know? And, yeah. And their army rules kind of suck. I don't know. The Wa kind of sucks. It should be +1 to hit, because we need that so bad. But if it was +1 to hit, our damage would spike. So, but I don't know what you do about it. Ard boys come down in price, maybe. Maybe you don't want to, like, maybe you don't want to reduce brutes because you don't want brute spam. Right? You don't want to have like 60 brutes on the table, or 30 brutes on the table, sorry. And that's fair, but like Gore-gruntas are overpriced. Rekkaz are probably overpriced too. Rekkaz could probably go down to like, I bet you, 100, I bet, before you'd start seeing them. You know, some things are kind of underpriced. I feel like the Hack and Crew is probably too cheap. But he's 270, like, I don't know. He's probably too cheap. It's hard to say. So, yeah, but overall, I like Ironjawz. We'll find the balance. Like, subscribe. Wow.